Welcome to another episode of Risky Thoughts with Rob and Roy.
I'm Rob.
And I am Roy. Guys, it's been a long time. And for those of you who just got our podcast, which we did see there has been quite a substantial amount for being inactive.
Right? Yeah, we haven't been active at all.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed with ourselves, but we've been super busy, man.
Listen, I'm going to be straight here because I'm a little bit drunk. Last month we tried recording a couple of episodes, you know what I mean? And we just had nothing to talk about. That was the problem. And with the podcast, we could just bullshit and talk about stuff, but some of you guys liked what we're talking about because it was authentic. We were dealing with problems. And, we have now gotten ourselves into a bigger problem. Okay? So the episode title is going to be Fuck the Video. We're going to start building houses. So, part of our kind of new little thing what we're doing here is we started our own little
small contracting.
Small contracting company. So, I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about us not being inactive or active or whatever it is? That's straight from my heart. It's just if we have nothing to talk about, then what the fuck, right? Everything was solved last month. Everything was good, and then we had to induce a little bit more chaos, and then this happened,
and we're back at it.
And now we're back at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we
problems.
We went on on a hiatus. So the last couple episodes that we tried to record, first of all, we tried to do it with video, and I think that we were very distracted with that.
Yes.
We even had an episode where we went to a railroad track.
Yes, we actually
set up our gig on a railroad track so we can get a proper backdrop that we thought was kind of cool and unique. And it was a fun experience, but the problem was I was so preoccupied with getting it right that I stopped thinking about what we were actually talking about.
Yeah.
So that was the first episode that we tried. Then we tried doing it here at the house, and we actually moved to the garage to see if we can get an episode filmed out here.
Yes.
Once again, a little preoccupied with the camera angles, and it just put a buzzkill on the moment, and I just wasn't in the mood.
Yeah.
And then after the fact, normally we would re-listen to the episode. I that's usually what I do, right? I'll listen to what we recorded the night before, and I'll vet it and think, okay, is this good or not? I didn't even waste my time because I was just
so shit.
Yeah, we didn't have quality content, and it wasn't worth posting online.
Yeah.
And then we got sidebarred by this whole fucking mission we went on here to start our own venture, and it
started with changing someone's locks, and then it's all right, we're redoing an entire house.
Literally, yeah. The transition was insane. I mean, it actually started with a friend of mine who I've worked with in the past who needed some bodies, right? Some labor on a project site. That's where it all started from, right? I got that call. It kind of intrigued me. I thought, let's get it going. Let's legitimately open this business and sell out some labor. Yeah. Then my dad called because my dad, for the listeners, he does general contracting. Yeah. He's getting older, wants to retire. So he had this little peddly job, and he's been down in Florida for the last little while. And so he was like, if you want it, go and do it. You could charge, a couple $100 to go and do the work. And and then I did it. We did it.
Yeah.
And it was the fastest and easiest, $250 we'd ever made.
Right.
And we were like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's do this some more.
It's we made $0 with this fucking podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, we might start making some money soon with the new Spotify subscriptions. $2.99.
No,
Is it 99 cents per episode?
I don't even know what it is, but we'll think about that.
Yeah, we're just kidding around, bro. This is a labor of love. We're just people are listening to us. Keep listening to us. We're not gonna fucking
not yet.
$10.
Yeah, man. No, but ultimately, doing this has always been a form of therapy for us, and we haven't done it.
Yes.
I actually feel like I need it now.
Yes.
I haven't felt this overworked in a very long time. Yes. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I'm in deep with a whole bunch of things that we bit off a lot. Yeah. Right? How much we can chew is yet to be seen. Yeah. But I feel like at this point in time, I'm doubting our capacity to get things done.
Yeah.
Although, as the days go on and we get a little more formalized with the process, and we're starting to find our way into a comfort zone, and that's a good thing because now I can almost focus and I'm not just wandering through fucking wilderness right now. You know, I kind of feel like we now found the path, and now we're just trying to travel down that path.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I feel like what you're describing there is like confidence in some ways. Like that's what like parts of it. Like I feel as we get more confident doing stuff, it's always fucking anxiety driving and scary, and for me at least, you know what I mean, to try something new, and just worried. You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna go well. Like, are we gonna be able to execute? But like, you know, one of our things we are executing, we are getting we're getting some production done. You know, some people are impressed with some of the work that you were doing, right? So with the quotes and stuff, like, so I mean, like, as that confidence builds, I do believe, you know, it may get easier or harder. Or, you know, I don't know.
It's a combination of things. I mean, the confidence is one part of it. I've never really been, I don't know how to put this, but like, I don't think the confidence has been an impedance for me. I think my biggest issue is I'm doing a lot because I'm also still working my full-time job.
Yes.
And then I'm coming home. I have like a 2-year-old.
Crazy,
I have a pregnant wife who's 8 months pregnant.
Yes.
And it's just been a lot of hours and a lot of like figuring shit out. Like, what is the next step? There was so much of the back end. Like, I've been a project manager forever. So like running the jobs is not my fear.
Yeah.
My fear, actually, it's not even a fear, but what became the challenge was like all this unknown shit that is required in the background of like the administration of running a business.
Fuck, I know.
You know, getting like your employees properly registered, having the business itself registered,
properly trained,
getting all the training certificates that are required to be on a job site. Like, this is like, it sounds insignificant and trivial, but if you don't know, if you've never done it before and you don't have someone beside you to like walk you through every single step, it takes a lot of time.
It's learning. It's like learning something fucking brand new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not like we can watch a YouTube video. We just have to kind of like read like the fucking, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of like, yeah,
but it's been fun.
It's been very fun and engaging and interesting and challenging, and it still is, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what this episode tonight for me is like. It's kind of bringing me back to what we had before this whole nonsense started. And it hasn't even been that long that we've been doing this.
No,
it feels like forever, but but the podcast just brings me back to like when we used to be at my old house in the basement, you know.
Yes.
Just like chilling, having a conversation about something and getting excited about where we can go with things.
Yeah, so I mean, like, speaking of where we can go with things, like, I've had 2 conversations with 2 individuals in the last like couple of days, and like, I'm just trying to figure out like, why are we doing this to ourselves? You know, I'm trying to root out any kind of like, you know, people, millennials want like an easy life. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of going, I don't want to work anymore. Actually, it's so interesting because like your comments like a couple of months ago was like, I don't want to work anymore. Like, I just want to, but it's just like, but you just took on like double the work. You know what I mean? So it's like, but it's a certain element in you that is wanting to do this, right? And there's something right about it, I think. But what I'm getting at from other people is like, you know, like, they don't want to work hard, or like, and I don't want to, so whoever's listening, I don't want to get it the wrong way. It's just like, you know, some of the conversations is like, for young people, it's just like, yes, you want to be an engineer, or you want to be a doctor, or you want to be a, you know what I mean? And right off the bat, the grass is greener, right? And you think it's going to be exciting, and, you know, but like, okay, you're a doctor. Now I need you to see 100 patients who are complaining about some irritation in their nose, or they're sneezing a lot, or like they're like, you know, there's this little boil on your skin. 100 of them a day. Like, that's exhausting. Okay, you want to be an engineer, you're designing planes and buildings. No. 90% of engineers are designing columns and floors, and, you know, there's 1,000, there could be 1,000, 2,000 in a floor. You know what I mean? So it's like, there is a disconnect there. And like, now transitioning to the other conversation we had in the car, but another individual, like our good friend, right? And it's just, you know, trying to find his way and trying to figure out what he should do, like maybe start something new or whatever, and like a new program or some sort of academic training. And it's just like, then what are you going to do there, right? Like, well, I mean, I am realizing that like the things that I do commit to, like the tools and this fucking just like general labor, is like where I get the most energy from. Like, you know, like I can do this for 16 hours.
So can we focus on that? Because I want to like understand that, because there's a mechanism there that exists within us that we're not really talking about it right now. Like we are loosely, but I want to really understand that part of us better, because one of the things I was going to question you on when you started talking there was like, you know, people say that like, oh, we want to retire from basically whatever the fuck you think you are doing right now. And most millennials are people who are like the person you're referring to in our life, who like hasn't, like, he would be retiring from literally nothing. Like, you haven't done anything yet. What are you retiring from? And I think what people fail to understand, especially millennials, or people of this nature, we're just going to tag it as millennials for now. I don't think that they've ever been pushed to work hard enough. I don't think they've been pushed to grind to understand why the grind is important, and why, like, see, I think when you finally commit to the grind, and when I say the word the grind, like I said 17 times right now, what I'm referring to is like the put your head down mentality and just do, right? Like get your job done.
I think I just want to add more kind of color to this, like, you know, doing the grunt work, like doing the fucking putting in the time, like jail time. You know what I mean? Like that's what it looks
very military style.
Military style, like trying to get up on time and stuff like that. Like at least trying, you know what I mean? And all those kind of elements of like the mundane monotony, you know? Like that's what I think our people, millennials, are not fully understanding. You know, so many people have ideas for things like podcasts, but I can tell you that me and you are the furthest person like that I know of. You know, I've heard a lot of people want to do podcasts, you know what I mean? But we are the furthest.
In our group or whatever, in our group. In our life,
in our group of So
what I wanted to, what I was trying to say there, and you're 100% right. Everything you've just said is very true.
Right.
What I'm trying to get across here is the reward of the grind is not the fruit of the actual labor. Okay, the reward of the grind is something that is beyond the tangible world.
Fascinating, yes.
Right? Like, exactly. I feel like there's something supernatural or like, I don't know, like, okay, as an example, sorry guys, our garage is open, so we got lots of noise
like literally in our garage, guys, sorry.
There's something like, we'll take the example of like working on a construction site, doing something very repetitive, right? And I don't know, let's say it's just lifting material. You're a guy that goes onto construction sites and your job is to load material from the ground floor up to the 15th floor. And you got to fucking haul concrete up 15 flights of stairs. There's no actual reward for the physical act of doing that, aside from like getting into shape or whatever.
Well, the money, right?
Well, and the money, of course, and whatever else comes with the actual physical job. The part that you're getting out of it that you can't really see is this ability to now take what it requires to get that done. Like, it's hard, right? It's really fucking hard to do that physically, mentally. Like everything about it is hard. And once you break through being able to do that, when you come home at night, cleaning your house becomes like a fucking joke. It's like, it's so easy, right? You can do it without complaint. You can do it without even like, for example, our friend who's like complaining, oh, my boss this, and I don't want to do that anymore, and it's so boring. And when you have gone through lifting the concrete bags from the ground floor to the 15th floor every day for months on end, you don't hear those kind of guys show up and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I gotta do this or that. They don't talk like that. You know what I mean? Like it's just not in their character, because they've disciplined themselves in a way that, without even realizing that that's what they were doing, they've altered their character to be resilient to like challenge. Right? So like a challenge confronts them and they're just like, they don't even think, they just act to overcome the challenge. And I think that in itself is like some form of purpose. I don't know how to put this. Like, I'm not really sure how to get my thoughts out right now because I'm struggling, because we haven't done podcasting in a while. But
no, I think that's like you. I think you're describing something very accurately.
It's just like, look, our friend who's going through this is like bitching and complaining, and like there's no benefit to doing that. There's no recognition of the merit that he requires in order to like okay, the guy carrying the concrete, right? He's gonna do all this hard work, and sure, he's gonna collect a paycheck and he's gonna get fit. But again, when he comes into a different setting, he's going to act and he's going to complete those actions without question, without complaint, without anything. And the reward that he actually inadvertently got was, I've defeated something. Right. Like, I've defeated this demon of whatever the challenge was. If it was lifting the concrete up and the physical challenge, or if it was the mental challenge of the monotonous drive of the activity, whatever it is, he is able to say to himself or herself that I have accomplished something. Right? And like that feeling of accomplishment is what we all are chasing. I don't care if you make $1 million. I don't care if you make $50, right? Like, you don't feel fulfilled just because you have a big bank account when you wake up in the morning because you went to work and you made a bunch of money, right? Like, you feel fulfilled because you've earned that money. That's what brings you that like contentness in life. I
do want to like I want to like prune that a little bit. So it's like, I don't know what that word is. I'm struggling too, but like, you know, this marathon capacity increases, right? And you know, you said there's something that's intangible, and it's not about the reward. It's not about the reward. That's right. You're developing the attitude if you're doing it right. You could be a construction worker and you're like fucking, you know, just complaining, but you're still doing the work, and not realizing that your deterrence is actually increasing, right? Your deterrence to this monotony, right? Life is monotonous on average, right? So it's like, you know, you increase the deterrence in your ability to withstand the monotony, and your ability to life increases. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's not about the rewards. I want to stress that, right? Like, it's not about like the paycheck or something, but it's like, this goes back to when we first started, David Goggins, right? It's just like, it's just to stay hard, to go hard, right? I started my life late, right? Like, so like, I'm in the phases where I should be when I was in my 20s, 21, 22, 23, right? Actually, in reality, even earlier, right? And I did the monotony. I thought to myself, I could never handle a day of hard work. I really thought that. I when I was 22 years old, 23 years old, and for those of you listening who are young, it's just like you think you can't do it. You know what I mean? And I did it. And now when I'm on site, I'm the one who goes for 10 hours, 12 hours. And then I come home, clean the fucking tools. You come home and you fucking admin for fucking 20 hours, dude. Not 20 hours, but like, let's say a solid 16, 18 hours. Guys, 18 hours. There's nothing special about Rob or myself in this regard. You know what I mean? It's just easy. You know, that's not an issue. Me doing the admin, what you're doing is the hard part. So how do I deal with that hardness? You know what I mean? That difficulty of me doing an admin work. It's just like, well, I just got to keep doing it. You know, if I get dumped on, I have to just do it still. I have to do it no matter what. And it's not about the reward of doing the admin or what could be the future prospect. It's just the art of doing something uncomfortable, right? Like, seeking that uncomfort. And that's the nerve that helps me. It's just like, they wanted criminal records from the guys. I was in the car with my friend. I got an email, right? And I could have just been like, fucking deal with it later. And just to prove it to my friend, I said, I'm like, this is the part I hate. I'm scared of the fucking admin. It's too confusing. It's a lot of things flying over my head. There's too much information with my low working memory. But I still picked up the phone just to prove it to him, and it's this easy. And I just fucking sent the email. There's probably typos in it. I'll optimize it. I'm gonna get better, just like I got better at the fucking lifting pieces of wood, putting in place, watching people, getting dumped on. You know what I mean? You gotta put in the time.
Yeah.
If you're fucking 30 years old and you're useless, put in the fucking time. You know what I mean? There's other things that can help you with this and what people think. It's just, you gotta let it go, right? At the end of the night. You know what I mean?
What really provoked my thoughts on this topic was like when you were telling me about our friend earlier, and you were like, okay, so you say you want to do this now. Yeah. And then now what? Yeah. Right? Like then now what's the, like, I know what you're asking him. You were asking him like, okay, let's assume for a second that you're successful in this endeavor and that you become this new profession. You entertain being in this new profession. Now that you're in this profession and you're great at it, like, why is that better? Like, what do you think is going to change about your life? Yeah. Because you're doing something that your brain is telling you right now you think you want to do. Because the reality is your brain is just telling you that so that you don't have to do what you're supposed to be doing right now.
Yes, I know. And that's where, right there is like where you got to catch yourself.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
You got to catch yourself. And, if you're, that's where you should catch yourself. But, on like kind of okay, yeah, like you said, my mom is going through the same thing. Like my parents were wanting to get a divorce at some point. They wanted to, like, they were already like 60s, 70s, right? And they wanted to get a fucking divorce, whatever. Point is, she wanted to get a divorce and she wanted to go live out on her own, right? And I had to ask, and my family's like shitting on me for telling them to stay together. Right, because like she wants to go out and live her life. You want to go. That's just a lot of what I hear a lot from a lot of people in unhappy marriages or whatever. It's like, I want to go out and live my life. Okay, so thinking in the future does cause anxiety, and it's something that you don't want to do too much, but it's actually useful in some regards. Like there's a reason we can think in the future. But so in this, I'm thinking it's practical, and I ask the questions like, okay, week 1. You get your own house. You fill it with things. Okay, good. Week 2, you want to get your friends. Okay, so what are you gonna do? What are you want to join a club? You want to get friends? These are complicated things, right? That need like a vague plan. You know what I mean? We don't have a plan doing this shit. We have a vague plan. Like it's very loose, and I think that's how I like to keep it. Obviously, when you're doing project management, you want to get it as close, but in terms of the strategy, it's vague. For me.
But yeah, and even like the specifics of what the job requires, is meaningless. Like I can. The one thing that this is what I believe. I believe that the reason why project management is somewhat entertaining, especially in construction, is something that actually fulfills me, is because there is no perfect project manager. Right? There's no end of the road. Right? So you can't claim to have like mastered something in project management.
Right.
There's elements of it. Maybe you were better at scheduling this time, maybe you were better at budgeting this time, maybe you were better at whatever. But there's no way to actually quantitatively say that you have hit the pinnacle of what your job requires you to do.
Right.
There are too many variables. There are too many like moving pieces that it's an impossibility to measure. I can't compare my performance on a project to the performance on the next project.
Right.
In a quantitative sense, enough to the point where I can say, okay, if I provided myself with like a matrix of criteria to evaluate my performance, I could perhaps deduce some like, okay, maybe I could have improved here now on the next project. I did that, I improved, but that's only in a domain that I define, and there are an infinite number of domains. So like when you're doing like this is, when employers of project managers try to evaluate the performance of their staff, it's like, okay, these are the criteria that we're going to measure you by, right? Did you meet schedule? Did you meet budget? Did you follow through on the reporting? Did you, like, okay, yeah, these are like the things that everybody measures, right? Because it's kind of like standard practice. But where's the checkbox or the area where it measures how well did you like manage your relationships with your trades or your coworkers? Like, how do you quantitatively measure that? How do you quantitatively measure, did you like ensure that your client was in a place where anxiety was minimized? Because that's an ultimate goal for people who want to, like, as a client management strategy, I like to make sure that my clients feel at peace. Because if they're feeling anxious about something, then I'm not really doing my job, because the whole point of my job is to make their life easier. So like, but that's not quantitatively measurable either. And like, nobody looks at that. It's not part of the matrix. It's all about, did you meet schedule? Did you meet budget? But that's not the whole picture.
So
right?
I want to tie this, and what are we at right now?
We got time.
Okay. So I do want to loop it back to the full circle here. And so I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. I first want to ask you a question, like, when did you make this realization
about
project management,
and why I enjoy it, or why I believe this is a good field for me to be in?
Well, when that what you described there is this kind of infinite game of growth.
And the reason why I brought that up, I didn't actually conclude my thought, is I brought that up because I wanted to say that I'm the kind of person who, like, once I master something, I'm just like over it and I want to move on.
Right.
And I think that's why project management has been something I can do for so long.
Yes.
Or long enough that, like, I'm still not bored of it yet, and I don't think I ever will be.
Okay.
So, but when did I make that realization?
Yeah, like, when was it?
We all spend time thinking about what we do with most of our time, which is work for most people. And like a lot of people, even like our friend who's just like, this isn't for me. I don't like my boss. I don't like the people I'm working with. The atmosphere is toxic and whatever. So I had those thoughts too. And there were plenty of times where I was just like, this isn't for me. Right? Like, I can't, this is just like, I remember giving myself fucking countless reasons to why I should quit.
Yes, good.
I should just move on. But when I learned to realize that, like, and this is really owed to like my old boss, C, right? Like, C was the one who made me realize this more than anybody. Where it's just like, he basically just toughened me up. He's just like, shut up and stop complaining. You're not gonna quit because you're a pushover. You're a pussy. You're not gonna do it. You're a big talker, but you're not an actor. So like, stop pretending that you're gonna do something when you know you're not gonna do it.
Right.
And like, him talking to me like that today, people will be like, "Oh, that's toxic," and like, you shouldn't listen. That lecture that I got repeatedly helped me like zone in on what was really happening, and it was like, the only reason that you want to jump ship and quit and go to the next company or the next different venture is because you're just too afraid to deal with what's in front of you and what the challenge actually is.
Yes.
Right? And then once I was forced to just deal with it, you kind of learn, like, you start to realize that, like, I don't really want to quit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know. Okay, so this is so funny because, like, just recently I like quit that new gig I told you about.
Yeah.
It was only like, but like, I quit in a very interesting way. Okay, so like, I quit because I did get tripped out about like that project. I was, it was gonna go,
it was
overwhelming. But like, I decided to be like, I don't know. I like, you know what? I'm still gonna go in and help them and then make sure. And then I realized, like, bro, like, this is not as hard as it looks, man. What the hell? Like, this is actually, it reaffirmed my idea that, like, just, I kind of quit but didn't quit. It's such a weird.
You left the bridge intact.
I left the bridge, intact. You know what I mean? And I gave a stab at it, and I'm still doing a project for my ex-boss. You know what I mean? But the point is, I did go back in there, and I'm glad I did. I could have been like, because people were telling me like, fuck, you don't have to go back. And my colleagues were like, you don't have to go back. This is, you know, but I still went, and I took the stress, and, you know, there was a lot of stuff on site. It was all confusing. There's so many different things, you know, like plumbers were asking like, what's going on here? We need an answer. So I'm managing the guys, and I'm also like writing a text, and I'm not good at that because working memory is low for me. So I'm like trying, and I'm sending out messages, and I'm getting responses back, and I'm realizing, oh, I have a team. There's people who are doing their job. It's not all on you. It's not all on you, man. He's got a team, and they come through, and like, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world, dude.
See, and like, doesn't that feeling of like accomplishment, because I would consider that to be equivalent of feeling accomplished in that moment, because obviously you're achieving some success of something.
Of some sort. And so I do want to interrupt you. So you did say that you came to this realization that this contracting project management is an infinite area where someone could grow forever, till eternity, right? And I believe it's the same for all fields. Granted, capacity and all that kind of stuff, like astrophysics, you can keep discovering stuff, you know, like, you know, even on site, it's just like there's still so much room for me to improve, getting better at the actual installation, getting better at managing the guys, getting better at foreseeing like what tools you're gonna need.
Well, I feel like you're let's say, for example, your job is specifically to install decks.
Yeah.
So all you do.
Yes.
You put the deck boards down.
That's it.
There is a more like plateauish structure to the learning curve in that
Absolutely.
in that domain.
Yes.
Because there isn't that much, like, yeah, you can find more efficient ways, you can find new tools, but at some point you're going to exhaust all of those things, and then you're going to hit the wall.
100%. If the work is one specific task, I do agree with that. But like, a lot of jobs are, unfortunately, you know, like, let's just say you're on an assembly line, right? You know, assembling something.
Yeah.
Like, yes, right? You're gonna exhaust the optimization, right? And you're gonna get bored, and you're gonna hate your job, right? I mean, it's like an inverse circular thing. I think is like, well, if you're still enjoying it, it means that you're still learning something, perhaps, and like, good for you. You know what I mean? Putting down deck boards, yes, there's like 7 types of screws you can put in. You know what I mean? You know, what's the size of the, like, you know, what is it, like composite? You know, it is limited, but then there's like multitude of railings, different sizes, building on stone, building, you know, different designs.
There's still dynamics
as you gain more responsibility. Like, the challenges do increase, like, you know, finding guys that are going to help you if you need help, or different type of like anchoring systems. So yes, you know, I think their complexity does increase as responsibility increases. And if your I think it also comes down to this responsibility. Like, you're a project manager, there's a lot of responsibility for you. It just goes funnel to the top. Like, you have to keep changing who Rob is to keep growing. Right. One day you want to be an owner. So now you're going to another level of responsibility. Right. So, I mean, this is a completely different topic, but there is something there where it's just like, you know, Jordan Peterson, just like, take as much responsibility as you can. Right. But you can't take more if you're the same person. Right. So there's like this transformation you have to grow. So it's like you actually taking part in this job. And if you ever do feel bored, it means that maybe you need to take more responsibility on and transform Rob into the next version of Rob.
So
right?
I kind of want to apply this back to the whole point of the title of the episode.
Yeah.
Because we're talking so confidently about this stuff, and then like you consider like our failure to perform on producing like a shitty simple video.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like figure out why.
What happened?
Why did we just why were we not focused on the content while doing that? Why did we fail at delivering on it? Like, why are we just at a point now where like, you know what? Fuck the video. Let's build some houses. Right? Like, why are we here now? Like, why haven't we been able to like conquer that simple fucking feat of producing a video?
That's really interesting, man. I think number one, I think our goal was like there was a flaw in the goal. Like, why did we want to produce videos? What was the reason for it?
I think we just wanted to get onto YouTube because the whole concept behind the podcast was we wanted to reach as many people as possible. And unfortunately, Spotify and other podcasting platforms don't really it doesn't have that rabbit hole effect that you can get into when you're on YouTube. You can just spiral on YouTube and catch videos that are fucking about anything.
So, I mean, I have to say, like, I guess we just didn't care about reaching people. I don't know. Like,
that's a fair point.
We didn't care enough. We didn't care enough.
I actually buy that. I actually think that we lied to ourselves and we're like, we really want to make this thing happen.
And so why are we recording a podcast today?
Well, I think it's the same reason that we started the business, is that I think we're grinding right now. I think this is the grind. I think this is just part of it, man.
Yeah, I mean...
Or this is just a lazy version of what we wanted to do. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
So, I mean, I have my own kind of theories. I think it's just... we need to do a podcast. Like, we need to get this out. Like, you know what I mean? This was our therapy.
Yeah.
So, number one, therapy. Right? So, that was very important. We care about therapy. We care about our self-worth. You know what I mean? Do we care about our listeners? Oh, fuck, that's a fucking tricky one. I care, you know what I mean? But we also cared because it's like, if the content was trash, like this is trash. Like, why the fuck is it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not confident. I'm confident in this episode. I'm actually quite confident in this episode. And if you're going to re-listen to it, I'm actually just down to, like, upload it. You know what I mean? Because I think this was real, right? And the feedback that we've been getting is that this is thought-provoking. Right. I don't want to say some people are thinking it's better than Joe Rogan, right? But I'm actually saying right now, like, listen. If you listen to Joe Rogan, bro, like, I'm gonna listen. If you guys are Joe Rogan fans, and I am, right? The guy's just like, you know, it's not thought provoking. On this,
some
level.
elements of it are.
Some elements of art, but like, okay, what's his last episode? Is there fucking aliens? Like, come on, bro. Or like, oh, you know, in the future we're gonna have genetic engineering.
Listen,
who cares about that shit?
Listen.
Yeah.
The one thing that he's really good at, like, his podcast is excellent for the fact for multiple reasons. Number one, the guests. Yeah. He's got guests that have like public image and are popular, and they're gonna draw attention. That's number one. Number two, he himself is popular. Number three, he does do a lot of research before the topics are discussed.
Yes.
And he's very, like, he's quick to pull up. Like, he references he cites facts, stories. Yeah. What you and I do is off the top, and it's all in our heads, and there's nothing factual about it.
But I mean, what Joe Rogan's doing is he has this childlike wonder. You know, like, he's just so amazed at everybody's story. He's interested. He's genuinely interested. I think he's trying to find the truth. In that regard, I think it's similar. Like, we're both just trying to find the truth here. You know, Joe Rogan, to knowledge for him is truth. Ours is definitely more life, experimental, you know, like that spiritual Buddhist, you know, type of, like, how the hell do we live our lives? Are we making the right decisions? What the hell are we doing? Let's talk
what is
about
life?
You know what I mean? So that's what gives us the credit to speak to, because, like, I'm the master of my own life, so I can talk about our lives. We're not talking about other stuff, so we don't need specific, like, knowledge, right? You know, which is knowledge is all just from our own experiences. And I think what hopefully you guys listen to us, the reason why you guys listen to us is because you just want that experience too, because you guys are very similar in that regard as well, right? You know, opinions, right? And sometimes you want to think about things that you don't think about, right? Like, this whole episode was, if we kind of just reduce it down to its bare bones, it's like we stopped our podcast and we started fucking a company that does contracting. Like, why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and we're giving the rationale here. I'm giving my rationale of why I think we were doing it. You know what I mean? Is for all those reasons that we spoke about just recently.
In this episode,
This episode, right?
So I actually want to propose a new endeavor for us. I do want to, because I like what we do, obviously. That's why we do it.
You fucking say video, bro.
Well, it is partially video, Roy, but it's not in the context that we've been attempting. I do want to start a Risky Thoughts TikTok channel.
Yeah.
I do too. And I want to get out into the world. Because what we do, we're doing it amongst us. And we're talking about the realness of our lives.
Yes.
I want to start getting people involved. And I want to start hearing about other people's stories. Because then, it's not just people listening to us about us. You know what I mean? Like, I want people to be able to...
Because we're curious... As you guys are listening to us, like, you guys may be curious about, like, us. We're curious about other people, too. You know what I mean? And I do agree with that, and I do find that intriguing. You know what I mean? And I'm down to try it.
Yeah, we don't have the art of TikToking or social media down quite yet. You're much better at it than I am.
Yes.
And so let's give it a chance. Like, let's just try it. What's the worst that can happen? We'll go ask some strangers.
Nothing bad can happen just from trying it, dude. And we will. We'll ask random people.
Yeah, I'm ready for this.
And just random fucking questions.
Whatever's on our mind.
Yeah.
Okay, right, cool, man. That's that does take us to a healthy length of episode. So, guys, it's been a slice.
Yes.
You haven't heard from us.
Yes.
In quite some time, and we're happy to be back. And I don't know what the plan is. Like, are we gonna go back on this weekly nonsense, or?
Nah, we're not gonna do weekly, guys. We're not gonna do weekly.
We're gonna do it whenever the fuck we got time for it. How about that?
We got time for it, and then we feel like we gotta do it, right?
Yeah.
And we apologize for people who are weekly listeners. We really do, but we gotta get experience, and then we talk about it. That's right. Like, it's just we're not gonna give you guys trash, right? We record many episodes where we're just trash, right? And so
cool, man.
We really do love you guys listening to us, and that's another episode of Risky Thoughts.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.